Hello, and thank you for joining us for Creating Winning Resumes virtual program of the Allen County Public Library. My name is Joanne, and I'm from the WorkOne Center, and I will be the host for today's program. Our co-host is Lisa, a librarian at the Allen County Public Library.
And Joanne's going to open her share screen, and we will go ahead and start the presentation here.
Okay. We are equal opportunity. If you need auxiliary aids, they're available with individuals with disabilities upon request. The agenda for today: what is a resume? Why do I need a resume? What do I include in it? And how do I construct it? The resume is just a marketing tool designed to showcase your skills and your accomplishments. You want to think of yourself as a product. You're trying to sell yourself. You want to be the best that you can be. The resume is also a summary of your experiences and skills relevant to the job. You want to highlight your accomplishments to show a potential employer that you are qualified. What are accomplishments? It's just more than job task. It is what you've done above and beyond for the employer. And also, you don't want to include your entire life story in that. We're going to cover a little more about this. Your resume should answer the following questions. What do you want to do? In other words, what are you passionate about? Do you enjoy working with people? Do you enjoy working with animals, children, machines, tools? What qualifies you for this position? In other words, what can you bring to the table to the employer? What qualifies you for the position? Is it because of your experience, credentials? And what skills do you have that can transfer to the work environment? Transferable skills can be from your very first job to up in the time you retire. So again, what kind of skills can you bring? Your resume is designed for only one function. It's to get you the interview, nothing more. And you want to shape your resume to the job description. And we're going to talk a little bit more about keywords. In other words, when you have the job description that employer will probably post online, there are keywords that you want to find in there, and you want to make sure you have those keywords in your resume. And that is what can help you to get that interview. So make sure that it is a match. Did you know that few employers accept only paper applications? About a week or so ago, I was reading an article. Instead of only 5 to 15 seconds, I read where employers spend only 6 seconds. So you can imagine if you have one position, you've got hundreds of people applying for jobs. Employers are not going to just stop and read everything. So again, you want to make sure that you have all your information on there. And also, many medium to large employers use computer software to scan resumes for keywords. For example, when you go to the store, and let's say you buy a product, you've got the scanner. Well, this is what many large employers are using now. It's called ATS, which is Applicant Tracking Systems. So if you have keywords in your resume, that can match up to their job description, and that could help you land the interview. If you don't have those keywords, you could be missing out on the interview. Resume construction. This can consist of contact information, objective or summary, experience, and education. In other words, how do you want employers to see you? What kind of an image do you want to display? First, we're going to look at contact information. The top one you see, Susan Smith, her address, city, state, phone number, and her email. Below there you see where it's the same information, where this address is omitted or deleted or left out, and it's just 2 lines. Now, I know for myself when I was in my early 20s, just a few years ago, anyways, I used the 4 or 5 lines. Well, now I use the 2 lines. And I think with the 2 lines, what's going to make it really nice, you're going to have more room on your resume that you can list skills and list your experience. Let's take a look at this. This here, Susan Smith. Perhaps do you have a middle initial? Susan Smith is a real common name, so you may want to include a middle initial if you have it. You could also include your city, state, and zip. That is kind of optional now. But what I've seen really in most popular are the 3 main ones: your name, a working phone number, and a professional email address. By all means, when you call, when you have that phone number, make sure that it's a working phone number. I've called many, many customers. Their voicemail's not set up, phone has been disconnected. There's all kinds of reasons. So make sure that you have a working phone number. Also, too, what kind of a greeting do you have? I've heard where some people have country music playing, or it could be rap music. Again, what do you want to project to the employer? So just be kind of aware of that. And also with your email, make sure that it is professional. It can be your first and last name. Also too, if you have one that you say, I love alligators, even if you do love alligators, make sure, keep that personal, keep that more for Facebook reasons. And another thing that you can add to your name, email, and phone number is many people now have a LinkedIn address or a page. So you could include your LinkedIn account on your contact information as well. Objective. This is optional. This can be in 1 to 2 sentences. This can identify the skills that you can bring to the employer. This can also include the type of position and industry. Again, this is optional. This objective may be good for people who are just graduated from college, or if they're changing careers. In other words, what can you offer to the employer? Objective example. This one is a great example to use. At the top, a position that would allow me to utilize my skills and knowledge in different areas. That is one you want to avoid. I've seen people include this. If I see it, I just want to tell people, please get rid of it. That doesn't tell me anything. What kind of a position? What kind of skills? What can you bring to the employer? That doesn't tell me anything. Make sure that it's more employer focused. You can see below there, there's 3 main things that I'd like to point out. Seeking a sales manager position to offer my marketing and management skills and knowledge to increase profits and create a respectful and productive environment. Those are 3 things that you can bring to the employer. Number 1, position. I'm a sales manager. What kind of skills? I've got marketing knowledge and management skills. My skills can do what for the employer? My skills can increase profits, and it can also create a respectful and productive environment. That is what employers would want to see. The second one, a job where I can be at home on evenings and weekends, spend time with my family. Well, that's kind of a given. Many people would like that, but that doesn't tell the employer anything. Instead, you could use one that's more employer focused. Seeking a position to offer progressive experience in welding and advanced manufacturing with emphasis on quality, efficiency, and a safe work environment. Right there, it tells me what type of a position. It's in the manufacturing. And this person has advanced manufacturing and welding. And did you know now that in Northeast Indiana, many employers are looking for people with advanced manufacturing, and a lot of positions are going unfilled. So this is why it's important to maybe get some additional training. Also, you can have emphasis on quality, efficiency, and a safe work environment. Summary. This is one that I personally like to use for myself. You could have use different ones. You could use summary of qualifications, professional qualifications, career highlights, professional summary, or summary of achievements. You can use any one of these. Plus, the internet has other options available too. So you can kind of reword that the way that you feel is best for you. The summary. This can begin with an action word or phrase that describes your desired position. Also, it can list your most important skills and characteristics related to the position. One thing that I just wanted to share with you is probably at the end of the program, Lisa will be sharing some books with you that you want to be aware of. There is a book called What Color is Your Parachute? The author's name is Richard Bolles, B-O-L-L-E-S, and he started this, I believe, in 1970. And about every year, a book will come out. So instead of buying it, you could just check it out at your local library, even go online. It's a great book. I've bought one myself a couple of times in the past, but it has a lot of good information in it, and I would definitely recommend that. Here's a great example of a summary example. You have a certified public accountant, excuse me, with 7 years experience specializing in cost accounting. Right offhand, this can tell the employer that probably you do have a bachelor's degree in accounting. You've taken the CPA, and CPA is certified public accountant. It is exam, and believe it or not, there are 4 parts, and I believe each section is like 4 hours a piece, and you have like 18 months to complete it. And from the research I've done, you need a score of at least 75. So right there, that tells the employer that you've gone to college, you've sat for an exam, and you've dedicated yourself. And along, you've got 7 years experience. Now, it's not in governmental accounting or tax accounting, but it's in cost accounting. Also, you can say that you're skilled in analyzing data, performing audits, and examining internal control procedures. And also, you have proven knowledge of financial accounting systems. Now, with your experience, this can include the job title, company name, location, city, state, and zip, dates of employment, skills, and accomplishments. I'm going to break each of these down a little bit to kind of give you a better understanding. Let's say for a job title, let's say you've worked at the ABC company for the last 10 years. You started out in the mailroom for 2 years. Then you advanced to, say, administrative assistant for 2 years. And now you're in management. So you have 3 different job titles all in the same company, and you want to put that on your resume. And you can put that all under the company name. Let's say also, for example, what happens, some people will work for a staffing agency. Let's say, for example, I work for XYZ staffing agency, and my location is at 123 Fun Place. What would be my employer? XYZ or 123 Fun Place? It would not be 123 Fun Place. It would be the XYZ staffing agency, because they will be paying your wages. So you would want to put them on your resume, excuse me. Also to the location, and also dates of employment. Some employers will like to see the dates of employment. We're going to talk about this a little bit later. You can have this in different ways. For example, I'm going to make this up. Let's say you could have May, M-A-Y, of the year 2015 to let's say of August 08 of 2019. Well, right there, you are changing the format. The first part, you're spelling out the month, and the second part, you are giving the digits. You want to keep it all the same. What you may want to do is put, like, say, 05 for the month of May, 05/2015 hyphen 08 to 2019. So keep everything the same. For some people, they might think, okay, May, it's the 5th month. Instead of putting 05, they just put 5/2015. Again, keep it all the same. So if you're going to use a 2-digit month, use a 2-digit month. If you're going to use a 4-digit year, stay with that. Some people will omit the months and just say 2015 to 2019, and that's perfectly all right as well. Skills and duties. Again, you want to make sure that your resume is a mirror or it's tailored through the job description. And the last one is accomplishments. Use numbers or percentages when possible. There's a website called themuse.com. It's kind of my go-to website, which I love. It's called themuse.com. You can also have articles sent to you on a regular basis. But there is an article in there, and if you go to, like, say, Google or Bing or whatever and type in 185 action verbs, the Muse, you will pull up an article, and the article will give you 185 different words. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this a little bit later here in the program here, but it's a great tool to use. Experience. You can title this work experience, work history, employment experience, professional, however you want to pick. The general guideline, usually no more than 10 years. I've also read usually 10 to 15. Again, what do you feel comfortable with? Make sure it's relevant to the job description or industry. For example, let's say you have administrative background, but you like to do fishing as a hobby. Are you going to include that fishing in your job description? Again, make sure that it's going to be relevant to the job description or industry. Include volunteer work. I cannot stress enough, because many times when you can include volunteer work, this can lead to other employment opportunities. And it's always good that you're giving back to the community. Also, make sure that you use correct verb tense. For example, let's say right now you're working and you are analyze data. You would just say analyze data. If you use past tense, you would call it analyze data. So again, keep it all consistent. And again, using action verbs. It's also in the pamphlet or the booklet that you have. And also, you're always welcome to go to that website. There's many websites that will have a lot of action verbs for you to use. This slide is probably one of the most important ones that I like to use in this presentation. Accomplishment statements. You want to showcase your actions that reflect your strength, include results, qualify, or quantity, and include an action word. Here's an example. You've implemented policy and procedure for auditing reports, increasing accuracy rates from 65 to 90%. Right there, that tells me that you just didn't meet policy, but you've implemented. Below there, where it says exceeded, I jumped ahead just a little bit, my apologies. Instead of just saying you've met monthly sales, just say you exceeded. That tells the employer that you went above and beyond duty. You increased sales quotas by 15% for the last 3 years. You had initiated a system, and you had follow-up contacts with satisfied customers. Here's an example here, and this is what I just pulled off of the Muse, 185 action words. Let's say for the word, for example, you led a project. Okay, you led a project. The word led, I think you could use a more powerful word. In other words, you want to paint a picture for the employer. Instead of using the word led, you could use the word chaired, coordinated, executed. These are powerful words. This is going to give you more credibility. Another example is that you increased efficiency, sales, you increase customer satisfaction. Instead of saying increased, you could say accelerated, amplified, maximized. Those words there could help you land into an interview. Education. If you have education credentials, put it on there. Let's give yourself credit. You can include, for example, if you have an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, any kind of credentials, the school name, city, state, GPA. If you got a 3.0 or higher, put it on there. Give yourself credit. You've worked hard for it. Below are some examples. Education, Bachelor of Science in Business, Trine University, Angola, Indiana. Also, I've known some people, they don't have maybe their associate yet or their bachelor's, but sometimes you could maybe under education put some of the classes that you're taking, or do you have a projected date saying expected completion date of 2021? Those are things that you may want to incorporate. Now, the high school diploma, Belmont High School, Decatur, Indiana. I would advise you to leave off the year. Let's say you graduated in 1980. You can put it on there, but you know, you're also kind of hurting yourself. You're aging yourself. And it's best to kind of leave off the year. Now, if I was like, say, 20 or so, I might put on there that, you know, I graduated, say, in 2018. That might be a possibility for you. Now, with the high school education, there's kind of a catch with this. Through some of the research and articles that I've read, is if you have, let's say, an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree, you may not need to put the high school diploma or the GED or high school equivalency. It's kind of understood that if you're going to college, you already have your high school diploma. However, there is a catch to this. Let's say the employer is using the scanner, the ATS, and the employer has on there to list the high school diploma or any college education. Even though you may not have your high school diploma on there, when the employer is scanning your resume, you could be overlooked because you don't have your high school diploma on there, especially if they have a scanning device. So it's just something to kind of be aware of and how you want to use that. You want to make sure that you identify job-specific skills in the job description. You want to make sure that you review the job posting to determine skills that are required and or preferred. Now, many employers nowadays, they might say they're requiring a bachelor's degree or a bachelor's degree or maybe work experience. More and more employers are using work experience. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have an associate's degree and that takes maybe 2 to 3 years to complete. The employers may think of work experience as double that. So if you have 2 to 3 years associate degree, you double that, that would be more to 4 to 6 years work experience. Bachelor's degree, let's say the average would be from 4 to 5 years, and you could say from 8 to 10 years, so you kind of double that. So if you don't think you have a bachelor's degree, I would apply for the job. That is where you can really sell yourself. If you feel you've got the work experience, this is where you really need a strong resume and a strong cover letter. And if you're not sure where to look, remember the library has books that can help you, and also WorkOne can assist you with your resume as well too. Here are some helpful websites that you may want to visit. One is called ONET Online. By the way, these are all free. ONET Online, just give you a brief example. Once you go to that, in the upper right corner, you could put in let's say a job title, let's say administrative assistant. It will then give you another screen with various occupations related to that. Then it breaks it down into tasks. It tells what kind of maybe technology, what kind of skills. And what's really nice is if you have, it gives you a lot of skills, you could take some of those skills and you could put those on your resume. The Occupational Outlook Handbook is through the Bureau of Labor Statistics, also known as, we call it in our office, LMI, Labor Market Information. But this is where you can go, maybe look at some videos. What jobs are hot? What jobs are projected in the next 10 years? And the last one is Indiana Career Ready. It sounds very similar to Indiana Career Connect, which is our job matching system. Indiana Career Ready is a portal. You can go on there, you can log down, and it tells you a little bit about some training. It talks about next level jobs. There is a link that you can click on for Indiana Career Connect. There is a link that you can click on for unemployment. There's a link that you can click on for high demand jobs. And there's also a link that covers training as well. Resume formats. Which one are you going to be using? Are you going to use chronological, functional, or combination? And there are examples of these in your packet. First one is chronological. This can present your education and work experience with skills and achievements described in reverse chronological order. This is where you want to start with your most recent job. So you would start with 2020, 2019, and work backwards. This is one that employers like to use. They're comfortable with it. It's widely used, and it's easier to create than other formats. The functional resume. This can organize your skills and accomplishments. This can omit employment history and also can include educational history. Now, you can highlight your skills as opposed to work history, and it's useful for entry level or re-entry. Let me just share a few things here with this one. You can leave off your employment history on your resume. Omitting means deleting, leave out. It is acceptable to leave off your employment history. However, when it comes to filling out an application online, employers might ask you to include your employment history. So how are you going to handle that? So just be aware of that. Also, you want to include your education history. Again, with the functional, it's going to be more skills related. Now, one thing I want to share with you, this type of resume could be useful for entry level or re-entry job seekers. At the WorkOne office, we work with individuals who've been incarcerated. And being incarcerated for a period of time, what have they been doing? Some ways that this can be addressed is during the incarceration period, you could put down like the county, you could say Allen County, or you could say the state of Indiana. But I would avoid saying XYZ prison, but instead give the county or the state. Also, if you go in Google or Bing, there is a website that I located. It's called Hire Network. If you type that in, Hire Network, it gives you a lot of different resources to use, and it's very informational. Combination. This is my favorite. This is the one that I use the most. I combine the strengths of my functional and chronological. I include my work history. With this, I can be more flexible in organizing my resume, and I'm going to focus more on my skills than my employment history. In other words, you can have your skills more at the top of your resume instead of more at the bottom. And we're going to cover this in just a few minutes. Here we go. This is called the 1/3 rule. And with the 1/3 rule, let's say this is your resume. And whenever you receive a letter in the mail, if it's business size, it's usually into thirds. So when you see the 1/3 rule, you see the creases here. So as in this example here that on the PowerPoint, you've got the 2 lines at the top, your name, zip code, email, phone. And up here, this is your skills, the summary. This is what employers are going to look at. They're going to start from the top, go down to the bottom. If you have all your skills down here, the employer could overlook it. So put all the important information, the top 1/3 or the top 1/2. Because the employers, when they look at this, if they see that you have the skills they're looking for, this is going to encourage them to read further down. The cross test. This one is divided into fourths, or I'm going to call it quadrants. This one can be a little bit challenging here. And you've got the fourths. And with this, you want to make sure that your resume looks balanced. In other words, does one quadrant have more black ink in it than others? And this one can be a little tricky. For example, if you look at the example on the slide there, I would say that the top margin and the bottom margin could have a little more space. You want a little more white space in these areas so it looks more balanced and polished. The left margin looks pretty close. And if you have issues with how to work on your resume, you can come to the WorkOne office. We have a computer lab that you could come in, and we provide over-the-shoulder assistance. And in our computer lab, you can work with adjusting with some of these margins. And sometimes it can be a little tricky, but I think we can help you with that. And if you look in the lower quadrant there, I'm going to call it the southeast, there's a little more white space. And one thing that I would probably do a little bit is on the left side where it has ER, customer representative, and information, I would probably try to pull some of that over on the right side, or under education where it says associate in business management, obtained a GPA. Some of that could be moved over to the right side. So again, working on a resume, it's kind of a work in progress. How do you want it to stay balanced? And again, what kind of image do you want to show to the employer? Don't exclude yourself. Again, this goes back to a little bit when we talked about work history, or your education. This one says bachelor's degree from a 4-year college or university or 6 years related experience. If you don't have a bachelor's degree, if you've got the experience, don't short yourself with that. Make sure you have that information. Let's say, for example, what if the employer requires a bachelor's degree? I don't have the bachelor's, but I have an associate's, plus I have, say, 10 years experience. I would not, and if I really wanted this job, what I would do is, first of all, I would really work hard on my resume and really stress my strengths, my skills, and I would work on my cover letter to really sell myself. Now, another thing is, even though I might have an associate's degree, let's say I want to go back to school. This is a great time that I could say to the employer, hey, well, I'm working for you and I can do this for you and save you money. I could also be earning my bachelor's degree too. So it could be a selling point for yourself. So make sure that you don't shortchange yourself. And also, with the job description, make sure that you read everything. Do you read the first part? It says, oh, it's a bachelor's degree. Oh, I don't have a bachelor's degree. You might lack that education. Read the entire thing. You might surprise yourself. That could be something that you'd want to apply for. Here are some general guidelines to use. Make sure that you use one font style. Let's say, for example, you want to use Chiller, there's Broadway, there's whatever. Keep the funky ones more to a personal level. The professional ones could be Times New Roman, Arial, Cabri, so use those. Font size, 10 to 12 point. If you go anything smaller than 10, it's going to be really hard to see. But then if you have the 16 point, it's going to look too big. So keep it 10 to 12 point medium. Keep colors to a medium. Long time ago, people could use light colored paper. Nowadays, even if you just have, everything's going to be electronic nowadays, have it on coarse white paper, have on black ink. If I was going to an interview, what I would do is I would buy a heavier bond paper. Like you could buy, let's say 24 pound, or sometimes a little bit heavier paper. And you can buy that. It's not real expensive, but you could have that and then use black ink on it. So with a better paper, especially for an interview, might be a little more impressive to the employer. Again, be aware of margin widths. I would say usually a ½ inch to an inch for the top, the bottom, and the left and right margin. Again, make sure that you focus your resume to the occupational goals. Now, what do I need? Do I need 1 page in length or 2 pages? I've seen people come into the office. One time I think somebody had, 7 pages. That was quite the resume to go through. Keep that 7-page resume, keep that to yourself. That is a great reference. I would just keep that and use it more as a reference guide. But many times we encourage people to usually try to keep your resume to 1 page in length. Again, depending on what your background is. Remember the 1/3 rule and cross test, and spell out acronyms. For example, let's say I was formerly working in the manufacturing environment in CNC, and now I'm going to change careers to administrative assistant. If I put CNC, somebody will think, well, what is CNC? Well, in the manufacturing industry, CNC could be called computer numerical control. So again, I would spell that out. And again, keep the employer in mind what kind of background it is. So beware of your acronyms. Common errors to avoid. Beware of this. This one is a clincher. Incorrect spelling, grammar, and punctuation. Some time ago, I had worked for a church, and I was involved in the interviewing process. And as I sat in there, I did not lead it, but I was in there to observe. The resume had a lot of spelling errors. I did not say one word. I kept it to myself. After we hired that person's spelling errors came out through her work. And it was a very stressful time. So by all means, please make sure you have the correct spelling. Spell checker, oh, I can use spell checker. Don't rely on it 100%. Spelling is not your forte, pull an extra set of eyes in. This is where WorkOne or the library can assist you. At WorkOne, we have career advisors. We can help you to work on that. Make sure that you include your skills, not repeating the same ones. You're going to be using up a lot of lines. So put your skills at the top if you wish. Use of personal pronouns, I, me, or my. Now I would encourage using bullet points, starting off with an action verb. It catches the employer's eye and it looks more professional. Remove irrelevant information. Again, I do some fishing part-time on the weekends. How does that fishing on the weekends tie in with my job now? It doesn't. Leave it off. Inconsistent formatting. This can be italics. It could be underlining, quotes. Keep those, keep everything the same. Use the same font. References on the resume. Used to be you could put the references on the bottom, or the old saying, references available upon request. Not anymore. The references now are on a separate sheet. So your one-page resume can be your skills, your education, your experience. Keep those references on a separate page. Be careful of using abbreviations. And again, depending on the industry. Using all caps. And social media, in today's society with social media, using all caps means like it looks like you're screaming. So use uppercase and lowercase. And again, be aware of incorrect verb tense. Now, we are finishing up. These are some of the sources that we have used today. And also wanted to finish up with this last page. And we thank you for joining us today. So my co-host Lisa now will finish up. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Joanne. Yeah, this is the time if anybody has any follow-up questions or things that occurred to you during the presentation, go ahead and put them in the chat if you like, and we should be able to get to those. Joanne, I just wanted to highlight a couple. You mentioned what color is your parachute? That's what that looks like. There's a new edition every year. I think we're going to be getting the new one in the next few weeks. We usually have some copies here at Maine. Some of the branches usually have copies. So I just want to highlight that the library has a lot of nice up-to-date books on resumes, job huntings, cover letter, all those kind of topics. These kind of resume books, everybody loves these dummies guides. Special topics like job searching after 40 or after 50 or mid-career job switch or fresh out of college or difficult background. We have books that specialize in all those topics as well. Joanne, you mentioned that you have a computer lab there at the WorkOne office here in Fort Wayne. Could you just tell us how that works? Is that something people can drop in, or how does that career
Yes.
counseling sessions?
Yes, we encourage you to come into the office. Our hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30. Thursdays, we open at 10 o'clock. Our location is 201 East Rudisill. Some people know it as the old Sears building, and it's Suite 102. You can come in and use our computer lab, just check in at the front desk. And we are practicing social distancing, and it's kind of like a self-paced, so you can come in. If you're not very good with the computer, you could bring a friend or a relative in. But we also provide over-the-shoulder assistance with that. Also wanted to let you know too that we also have veteran services available, that if you're a veteran, or let's say your job search is not going very well, and maybe you need some little coaching. We also have career advisors who can assist you. So please take advantage of that. And what's nice is there's no cost.
Great. Great. Thank you for that. I might also mention at the library, we've just pulled together it's called Pocket Guide to Popular Online Career and Job Searching Resources. I'm afraid this is showing up backwards on the video, but it just has some quick websites, quick places on the internet for comprehensive job listings, some current job advice, career advice, things like that as well. Let me check the chat and see what we've got here. Somebody's asking if there's any particular software that we would recommend. Software in terms of resumes, or not sure what software, resume building software. Joanne, is there a website that helps format that or gives a good template that you guys recommend?
I'm going to share some my own personal information. For some people, they can go to, there's Google Docs, there's also Microsoft Word that you can use. Personally, for myself, I like to go to Microsoft Word and start with a clean sheet of paper. I like to start from scratch. However, for those who are not comfortable with a computer, they're not comfortable in, where do I start? Where do I type? There are many different resume templates to use. Indiana Career Connect, you can upload a resume on there, but there's also a template for that. Also, I know Word will have some templates to be used. And so there's a lot of different templates out there to use. Sometimes I know for myself, when I'm helping a customer in our computer lab, and if the person is using a template, I know sometimes, I know from my own personal experience, it's a little more hard. It's a little more harder for me to manipulate or to navigate or to move around there. That's why I kind of like to use Microsoft Word. I just start out clean. So again, you have to find what works best for you. And if you do use a template, come on in. We're going to do our best so we can help you to showcase your skills.
Great, thank you. I've also have a comment here that talks about volunteering your time for maybe a particular employer or in a field. Somebody says he got his first job out of college that way and worked 1 month unpaid to kind of get his foot in the door. Is that something you would recommend while you're job searching, to do some volunteering, or maybe known that way in a particular organization?
Yes, I would definitely recommend volunteer work. Let me just share a few things with you. Some people may volunteer with their church, and sometimes they put down their church name. I once talked to an expert, and she was telling me, instead of using the church name, you could say like nonprofit agency or a profit agency, because, and I'm not putting down the church name, but if you use a certain denomination, that might cause some conflict. But if you put, like, say, nonprofit agency, or let's say you worked for, you've done volunteer work, say at the zoo, animal care and control, SPCA, definitely put that down. Or let's say you've helped a neighbor or something, or that you're a caregiver or something. You could put that down. And there's a way that you can kind of put this on your resume. You may want to put it more toward at the end of the resume. And I would probably call it other relevant information. And again, if you have any questions, you're not sure, come to the library, visit us at WorkOne. We can help you with that.
Okay, I've got one more comment that says, do you have any more advice for those who don't have any work experience? It's kind of
Okay.
22 when you want something to put on the resume, but you don't have anything yet, I guess.
Good question. It's been a few years since I've been 22, but I can kind of remember that. I would say, for example, if I'm putting myself right now, let's say I'm 22 years old. I'm going to pretend, I'm going to go back a few years. A couple things that I would do is, for example, what kind of courses did I take in school? I know when I was in high school, I took a lot of business courses. I would maybe put down what kind of courses you took in high school. For example, did you play any sports? Let's say you're in your early 20s, by putting down maybe some kind of sports or something, that's going to show leadership. That's going to show teamwork. Did you ever do any, did you mow grass? Did you ever babysit? Those are some things that you could put down. And also, as you are looking for work, that is a time that you may also want to consider doing volunteer work. Or, for example, maybe I know for myself when I was younger, um, sometimes maybe, what if you have an elderly grandparent? You visit the elderly, or you visit a nursing home. You're helping them, you're helping that person feel more worthwhile. So there are some little things that you can put on there. And again, if you need help, come into the office. We'll be glad to work with you. We'll pick your brain even more.
Okay, so even if it wasn't paid, something that's unpaid, volunteer. I know my kids, you know, I've told them, go ahead and put down the pets, the pet sitting or the babysitting, something
Exactly.
for another entry on that resume. So it's not like a blank section, so there's something on there.
Right. And also too, let's say you have some pets or something. Let's face it, who's going to be responsible? You help take care of the pets. That is something too, that try to show where there's accountability, flexibility, especially responsibility. That's going to be important to include.
Okay. I think that wraps it up for the questions that we've gotten. I just want to thank everybody again for joining us for today's program. Thank you, Joanne. You just put in a ton of information out there in just a short time. If you're interested in other virtual programs from WorkOne and the Allen County Public Library, we will be offering a workshop called Interviewing with Confidence, and that's going to be coming up next week. Our first one is Thursday, September 24th, and that'll be at 2 p.m. And then there's a repeat of that Tuesday, September 29th at 10 a.m. You can register for those just the way that you registered for this one. So please register in advance if you would like to attend either one of those. And if you have any follow-up questions or comments regarding the information that we shared today or additional resources, please contact the library at ask@acpl.info. Hopefully you see that on your screen. That's the word ask@acpl.info, or give us a call or call WorkOne or look us up online. There's a lot of ways to reach us, and we have people that are waiting to help you out. So if you have questions, don't be shy. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. And thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.
Have a good day.